Hello you, and welcome to volume 28 of Ask a Brit. As you can see, we are getting older, much like me. It was my birthday yesterday, and by coincidence, I turned 28 as well. Shh, don't. I am a little bit hungover, so bear with me on this. But we have some nice questions coming ahead, and anyone that's new to this show, the idea is you ask me, a Brit, any question you like in the comments below using the hashtag Ask a Brit. You must use that hashtag, otherwise I won't find your question. It'll be gone in the nethersphere. We are now starting to get so many questions that I can't unfortunately include them all in one episode of Ask a Brit. However, I have got a plan that might involve Twitter, but I'll get to that at some other point. And the first question today comes from Lisa Meath, and Lisa asks, Lawrence, who was your best friend when you were a child? Tell us about the things you did and fun you had. Did you have any pets growing up, and is it difficult to find a flat that accepts pets in the UK? So to address that first part, I had a few sort of friends, ones that you might call best friends. You know, I wasn't choosy, you know, multiple people sort of took that form. But the sorts of things we did, I remember one of my friends and I, we used to go bus spotting. That's where you go and look for the numbers of different buses around town. I grew out of that phase pretty quickly after getting beaten up for it a few times, so that didn't happen for long. Then we just took up wrestling. We used to go to the field down the road and wrestle each other. You know, it was all fun until somebody got hurt, and then it was hilarious. So I'm kidding, but I was the champion actually. I won numerous world title belts. World is, of course, a term I use loosely to mean my local town, and there were only 3 wrestlers. It was me and my 2 friends, but you know, that didn't matter. We got a lot out of it, and I took home the belt. And did I have any pets? I did. I had a little dog, the family did, called Benji. He was a Jack Russell. He was great. So he was sort of my first introduction. And in terms of, is it difficult to find a flat that accepts pets in the UK? I don't know, because Benji left us when I was like 8. And then after that, I didn't have any pets until I moved to the United States. You know, I've lived with a few people that you might consider animals in that time, not naming any names, you know, but they are out there. But, you know, as for 4-legged ones or even amputated animals with 3 legs, because I did meet a fox of that ilk once. It wasn't mine. He was just sick in my garden, and then he went away. I don't know, I'm afraid, Lisa. I'm sure it's fairly simple. I know a lot of British friends who have animals, you know, so maybe I should ask them. But I think that it's probably fairly straightforward depending on the landlord. Next question comes from Jennifer Wowqua, and Jennifer asks, do you have any plans to visit Oklahoma, and would you be willing to look beyond the stereotypical idea of what Oklahoma is and see what diversity is here? What is the stereotype of Oklahoma? You know, the main Oklahoman, is that the right word to use there, is good old JR Jim Ross from wrestling, the commentator, who had all of his sort of catchphrases like slobberknocker and all that. He was great. So he's sort of my introduction to the people of Oklahoma, you know, represented through one man. That's the alarm to go get laundry. But yes, as part of the journey to all 50 states, I'm absolutely going to get to Oklahoma. So, you know, suggestions about where to go, leave them in the comments below. Rob Norris says, did you know that Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, has old classic red double-decker buses from London? They are tour buses. I did not, but I suppose it's hardly surprising with it being in British Columbia and Victoria, no less, which I believe is named after Victoria Beckham, probably. Queen Victoria. Okay, yes, and that's really cool. I remember in Indianapolis, actually, there was a red London bus just randomly in a parking lot once, car park. And it sort of took me by surprise somewhat, you know. I didn't get on it. Could have slept there. I don't think it's in use. All right, Linda Farrington, are you participating in No Shave November? Yes, but probably only accidentally. I haven't shaved since probably about October 30th. Was it? Yeah. Actually, apparently I have already shaved this month. So I'm doing a bad job. But hopefully by December 1st, I'll have a full-on Gandalf-esque beard, and I will be commanding wizardry over the city of Chicago. The next question comes from Mr. F's 101, and Mr. F's 101 asks, have you ever visited the Jorvik Viking Centre in York? It was one of my favourite places when I visited the UK. Oh, Mr. F's 101, I have to agree. I don't know how I'm doing that strange voice, but yes, no, the Jorvik Viking Centre in York is it's one of my favourite tourist traps. You know, if you can have a favourite tourist trap, that would be it, or at least it'd be in the top 5. I remember distinctly, actually, the smell of Jorvik Viking Centre. It tries to create this musty old, disease-ridden, York, with obviously models and all of that. And a lot of people gag at that. I always found that really quite interesting, that you could use that part of the senses to, evoke visions of history through smells. I mean, it almost looks more foul tasting than it smells, if that sounds right. That's sensory overload. Sorry. Next question comes from Blake101. Are you two related? Does Pancake Tuesday happen in America, and what do you have on your pancake? Pancake Tuesday doesn't really happen in America, so they don't sort of celebrate Pancake Day. But, as was pointed out in the comments last week, just about every day here is a Pancake Day because pancakes are so popular. In fact, they have an entire establishment devoted to pancakes. It's called IHOP, and I believe it's owned by Apple. So the Apple IHOP, like the iPhone, that was... And, people go there routinely for breakfast. Tara loves pancakes. I don't really care for pancakes. I know that that's a sin in this part of the world, along with the sin of not liking cinnamon and not liking pumpkin, of which I'm guilty of all 3. But I don't know, I've just never really cared for them, even when I lived in England and we had Pancake Day. I did used to enjoy tossing them off the frying pan. I used to like flipping them. Stop making this dirty, all of you, all right? I used to just like doing that and catching it, but I wouldn't eat it. Somebody else would be shoving that stuff in their mouth. I'm still talking about the pancakes. Okay, next up, Leah Pats. Do people give you crap because you're not a citizen? I am a citizen, but of the United Kingdom. No, I don't get crap for that. But I don't think anyone's really given me crap about not getting my US citizenship. I mean, a lot of people do ask me, when are you going to get your citizenship? Why haven't you got your citizenship yet, you arsehole? But I think that people might give me more stick about it if I started being quite political on this channel and started to voice my opinion about certain things, because then they'll say, well, you're not even a citizen, go back home, and all of that. And I don't want to get into that palaver. And as a kind of a joining question to that, Nancy Kelly asks, as an American with a British significant other, we are researching which country has an easier visa process. Given you and Tara have lived in both countries, which do you think is less encumbered? Firstly, kudos on the use of the word encumbered. It's one of my favourites, along with palaver. I would say, firstly, I only have real experience of the visa process in America, because I've gone through that. We came close to getting Tara's visa back in the day, back in 2008, but we had to move due to financial reasons. Nothing suspicious, I just lost my job. So we thought moving to America would make sense. But I have heard, though, that there's a salary minimum that you have to meet in the UK now in order to be granted entry into the country as a visa holder. So it might be a bit tougher, actually, in the UK. I don't know, though. There are people watching, I guarantee you, who've been through both processes. So if you are watching and that is the case, why not tell us about it in the comments below? Next question comes from Kitty Oskin. And Kitty asks, does our thumb pinky hang loose sign mean anything in Britain? It's California surfer lingo, hang loose. Yeah, it does. It means I'm on the telephone, I can't speak right now, to anybody that's not on the telephone, like those people over there. So I'm making this up as I go along, I think. But I think it is the universal symbol for telephone for me. So it's got nothing to do with hanging loose. It's got plenty to do with hanging up. So I think. Thank you for that question, Kitty. And the final question today comes from Selena W. And Selena has a very important question. Since you once lived here in Indiana, is there any type of beans that we'd have here that would be equivalent to British beans like Heinz or Branston? I think the closest we found, and we've done quite a lot of research into this, in other words, we've gone out and bought tins and just eaten them. Not the tins, the contents thereof. And weirdly enough, we found that Bush's vegetarian baked beans are about the closest thing. Now, I don't know what would constitute non-vegetarian baked beans, but these are the ones. So if you can't find Heinz baked beans, or you're not willing to pay the extortionate $3 that you pay at international stores for them, then yes, I would say Bush's vegetarian beans. They're quite good, actually. I've had them, on beans and toast, obviously. I've also put them on a burrito. You can even dip them in your tea if you want. I don't know why you do that. That's really horrible. I've never done that. So I don't drink tea. I did it in coffee. So caffeine and the beans together makes for some pleasant farts. Okay, so that's all we got time for this episode of Ask a Brit. Remember, keep your questions coming using the hashtag AskABrit. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can go to my website, lostinthepond.com, to see some of the articles that are coming out there soon. Happy Thanksgiving this week to everybody. Until next time, bye.